Okay, Puzzle Peoples. Okay, these are my settings as of 17th of October. It could be subject to change in the future. I'm just going to go by quickly first, so people don't want to copy it, and then I'll go slightly into detail the more important things, I guess. So that's graphics. Audio doesn't really matter all that much. Controls. I use 1600 DPI. The mouse. Settings. You can obviously slow this down. It's going to go pretty quickly here. But if you want to see it slow down yourself, you can watch in a bit as well. Then gameplay. So those are pretty much my settings. And okay, going more into detail, I guess. Full screen 1920 by 1080, I use that. I don't use the DLSS, but it's personal preference, I guess. I just don't like the way it plays out. I'm playing enable and boost for a bit more latency there, but the sync off. I use 140 or 44 FPS because I've been having issues while streaming and recording. It's been like lagging, and since I lowered it to 144 FPS, it's been fine. I was able to run 240 FPS fine. It's just when I was or like uncapped, I would get like up to a 300 or whatever, but I had issues recording, so that's why I limited to 144, and it's been fine for now. Maybe once I figure out the issue, I'll up it again. FOV, I like having it max so I can see more things around me to react faster. Everything else is very low or disabled, except for textures. I just like having the textures higher. But I just disable everything. The FPS differences does matter. Like, I've tried testing these all ultra and all very low, and I get about 20 to 30 FPS, which, you know, it will matter a little bit difference. So that's what I do. Anti-aliasing, some people like having this. I personally see it like it becomes blurry, so I'd rather have the jagged edges that anti-aliasing gives than the blurriness. That's my thoughts. Everything else basically disabled. Audio depends your soundboard or what headset you're using. This might be super loud for someone or super low. You know, I just have it this depending on my headsets. Well, currently my in-ears. So I use also loudness equalization, which is a HyperX. I use a HyperX headset, but now we're plugged in with in-ears. And I use Windows loudness equalization that it makes basically the footsteps louder and the gunshots like more neutral to it. So I can't play without it. I used to do this in PUBG, and once I switched to it, I couldn't go back because when I went back, like the gunshots, if I wanted to increase the volume of the footsteps, the gunshots would be too loud. So you would then have to make like download a program like sound locks and stuff like that to make the high sounds muffle out. But I just found it was weird sounds. I don't know. I don't really like it too much, but the loudest equalization in the HyperX for me has been, it doesn't have that. It just makes it really good for me personally. Controls, I use 1600 DPI, like I said. General sensitivity is 10. Driving, I like having it a little bit higher just so I can move around and see a bit more. 2x stays the same, and then I just lowered it by 1 on 4, 6, and 8, just because it was a bit too fast at 10, but 8 was too slow, so I just put it on 9. Everything else is pretty standard, except for obviously ADS I use at hold as well. I switch my aim to an ADS to different buttons. Aim would be my mouse button 4, I think we'll see in the key settings, and ADS is obviously right click. I used to have toggle back in the days, but once I switched to hold in PUBG, it just made close range fights much quicker, much reactive, much more smoother, and once you get used to it, it takes a while to get used to. I thought it was just much better. Obviously your medium and long range kind of shooting lacks a bit because you are holding down, and it does affect a little bit of your aim, just a tiny bit. But I think the benefits that you get from the close range is much better. I've also heard that toggle in, I haven't played toggle, but I've also heard that toggle in Super People feels way worse. But I'm not sure about that. But personal preference, I think hold is the way to go though. Key settings, nothing too interesting, I think. I mean, I changed my jumper and parkour. I did that in PUBG because there was times where I was jumping over and I was vaulting accidentally when I want to do it. So I just had separate bindings. I think it just comes more handy to do that. I use Q and E for leaning. I've always gotten used to this. For me, it's perfectly fine to Q and E and A, D, and I have no issues like moving left and right, Q and Eing as leaning. But whatever you feel comfortable. I see some people use it on the mouse, but I wouldn't suggest putting Q and leaning left and right on the mouse because it will just affect your aim a little bit, and I don't think it's smart to do. So yeah, as I said, my ADS is a right click and my aim is on the mouse button on the left one. Reload R, next weapon previous. I remove this because I like having specific weapons going 1, 2, and 3. So my active skill, I had it as default is G. I switched it to T, but now I switched it to my mouse button. So I'm slowly adjusting to this. I'm going to eventually move T once my muscle memory is off of it. It's because we have tournaments going on right now. I don't want to accidentally hit T and then realize it's this one, you know, so I'm having both, but in the future I'm just going to remove T and fully complete, because I think it's just better to have it on the mouse for specifically classes that are dashing around, or like the Demolisher, where you want to throw all, like if you meet someone and you would just use your ulti instantly, it's much better to do it on a mouse and just spam it there whilst you're shooting kind of thing. Rather than T, because I don't want to, like my WSD, I don't want to move my fingers away from it. And, you know, it's kind of like a little bit awkward doing the moment. And I think if you're using it on my mouse button, it just feels like it's going to be more reactive and easier to look around with. That's what I'm doing now. Everything else, pretty standard. I don't know. I mean, I made key bindings for grenade. I put as G, because I had it as PUBG. These are my PUBG settings. 5, 6, 7 for my flashbang, smoke, and mono. Then I have some key bindings for the emergency kit, first aid kit, bandages, power bars, F1, F2, 3. Just so, I mean, these are still I'm opening the inventory for, but the healing ones I basically don't. Capsules as well, I open the inventory. I haven't set key bindings. If not, it's just too many. Anything else interesting here changed as far as I know? I mean, move seats. This is the same as PUBG when you want to do drive-bys. It's smart to put the WEQ because it's just control 1, 2, 3, 4 is so awkward if you want to switch seats. It's just requiring 2 buttons at the same time. So you want to be reactive fast if you meet someone and drive by them. I just had it as that. Anything else that I changed? Yeah, use Smart Ping instead of the display Smart Ping open palette. This is the default that you will have. I've actually been having that, but I recently switched. And the reason you want to do that is because this will instantly, when you put down the mouse wheel, mark things or mark an enemy, right? And the problem with the default one is it actually opens a palette, which can distract you, and if you hold it for down too long. Where are we here? If you put it here, as you can see, it opens this. And I don't really like that when you're just trying to mark people, you know? Because you might accidentally do it, and then it's like, you might mess up in the heat of the moment. So I'd rather use an actual smart pin and not the open palette. Okay, I just went back, and I forgot to mention something about the smart ping. The smart ping is actually very, very effective, that I want to show you guys. Especially when you mark them directly. It gives a live ping for a few seconds, and it actually lasts quite a while. And this is super effective against certain classes, the SWAT and the Marine, because they leave a smoke. And if you ping an enemy, whether you're the Marine or the enemy is the Marine, if you ping them and they ulti, you can see them through the smoke and actually start shooting at them. And it would follow their movements, which is super effective. This is something that's going to be, I mean, it's already probably meta, but it's going to be more advanced as people will start using it more and more, and understanding that the Marine and the SWAT have these kind of mechanics. As you can see here. You can just moving around and you'll see, if he starts moving, you can get him too. Ping another guy outside of your smoke range, you will see you. And if it's vice versa, if he's a Marine and you're in the smoke, if you have him pinged, you shouldn't be scared at all. Obviously, this is a 1v1. If it was more than 1v, like one, there'd be more people, but you know what I'm saying. That's the only thing I wanted to add. Bye-bye. Remove looping, show looping. Where's the other important one? I think it's in gameplay, probably. Yeah. Yeah, nothing else here. Pretty much all standard defaults. And then on gameplay, I set all the guns to be full auto. I don't know if that's on default, I can't remember, but every time you pick up a gun, it's automatically full auto, and you don't have to switch in case you like get hot dropped. You usually just start spraying instantly. I disable auto reload because I think it was just horrible when it would go down and you want to switch weapons and it starts reloading. It's kind of awkward. Everything else is pretty standard here. And then view smart ping. You want to enable this. I don't know if it's disabled by default. So view smart ping, basically when someone shoots, at the top, if you're in a team, it would basically change colors so they know the direction of where you're shooting at. Came a lot of handy more in PUBG than this game, but because in this game you have pings, or more effective pings. But it's also good to see if you don't know where the enemy is and there hasn't been a ping, you can see up in the HUD and it might show the direction of the enemy. Then there is... I added this effect to location ping when parachuting. It's like a light beam. You know when you mark... If you mark on here like that, it makes this light beam. You basically can remove it and only become when it's parachuting, because sometimes it could be just a little bit distracting in certain like buildings and stuff if you hot drop. If you mark that hot drop and you don't remove the ping. Then that's that. View fire and ping. Sorry, this is the one I was just talking about, the HUD above, not the view smart ping. It's a view fire and ping. So basically what I explained, but it's this one enabled. So my bad. Everything else here is pretty default-ish. I have auto-use compression bandages, but that was, I think, default, and everything else here, nothing special. But that's it. That's pretty much my settings. Could be subject to change in the future. I might be moving things around to make it easier, who knows. But as of right now, I have it as that. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.